Welcome to a new episode of the Gametime Gents Podcast. We're on episode 19. I'm one of your co-hosts, Nardy, and I'm here with my boys, Fish and Zoltowski.
Hello.
Hey, hello.
This episode, just like any other, we're going to go into the previous week of the NFL, going over our fantasy heroes and zeros. We're going to preview week 16. Yes, week 16, only 2 weeks left of the regular season of the NFL, with our weekly game pick and also our fantasy football start of the week. And then we're going to close this episode with a draft of our best movie villains, the movie villains we think are the best of all time. But before we get into any of those topics, we like to go over life updates and pieces of news. And I do have one life update I would like to share before anybody else does.
Go for it.
It's our boy Fish's birthday this week. Happy birthday, man.
Holy shit. Yeah.
Happy
Fish's
birthday, you old
40th
fart.
birthday. That's crazy.
7.
Congratulations, dude.
7.
He's turning 40. It's nuts.
Thank you. You're applying for retirement next year.
It's
So.
time for him to cash out a Roth IRA.
Yeah.
That actually happened. It's crazy.
Been around for 40 years, acts like he's 12, and I'm here for it.
That's
Oh,
wild.
mentally, he's 13 at least.
You
Or
think
at
I'm
most.
I'm barely 8, at best. So
True.
Can you
Definitely.
color inside the lines?
I like the color outside the lines. I like to be that guy that just doesn't like to follow the rules. But definitely not turning 40, but definitely feels like 60, especially when I get up in the mornings. I mean, holy shit. So
Your knees yelling at you yet?
it's just everything is yelling at me. Mostly my ankle and my right shoulder. My old war injuries from playing ball. So, softball, beer leagues, that's what we're about.
I actually hurt my shoulder playing Marvel Rivals the other day.
Oh my god.
That actually checks out for you.
Soft.
I was trying to play as Black Widow and I tried to flick on someone. I'm 32. I shouldn't be doing any of that. And I just hurt my shoulder. I don't know if my desk was too high or what, but sucked.
A desk that's proportionate size. I'm over here with a desk from IKEA kids section. It's ridiculous.
Well, we can bring this one over whenever.
Yeah, just load it up in the truck. Send it on over.
We'll have to borrow the truck. But anyways, we go off on tangents. You guys have any other life updates?
Yeah, nothing. Not much going on. Just still working on school and playing video games, man.
I mean, honestly, it's the best life. I just got back Andy and I just got back from New York, a little New York trip. We're Metro people, by the way. Took the subway the entire time. Only had a couple interesting interactions with some of the night dwellers on some of the subways, but didn't get too close to Harlem, so we were playing the safety card there, but stayed on Broadway, saw Broadway play there, did all of the things, went to Little Italy, Chinatown, stuff like that, had some really good food there. So definitely both of us were physically and mentally exhausted from not only just the thousands and thousands of people, saw the big tree and did all that jazz too, but I forgot how far a city block is. And downtown New York, those city blocks are big blocks.
Yeah.
So definitely got my steps in for the next 4 years within the last 4 days. So, but great trip. Can't wait to go back. We'll just not do the touristy stuff. So, but big shout out to Andy for planning all that. It was a good little surprise there. So,
If I know you guys definitely had some New York style pizza. Is that correct?
I have gained 25 pounds. Anything from, we hit so many diners, so a nice little coffee, little eggs, some eggs there, and then a fat cheesecake. I miss diners. We had them over in Jersey. We just don't have them over here, which is upsetting, especially the 24-hour diners. So, we ate copious amounts of incredible food, and then we come over here and we're like, oh yeah, this looks good. This sounds about right. So definitely helping our wallets just a little bit. But the taste is just nowhere near comparable to the East. So, but a good trip. We'll have to do an Elvis trip out there.
I'm in. I've never been. I want to go.
I've never been either.
You guys haven't been? Okay, great.
You'll have to be our ambassador.
That's great. Hey, if you need a Metro person, we got you. We can take you down the subway. We almost got lost one time, but whatever. So
I've ridden the L train in Chicago, so I've got very, very light experience on that one.
I'll tell you guys a couple stories this weekend when we meet up. for some sushi. But they were some good, good little stories. So I'll let you guys know this weekend then.
All right, well, I guess we'll just get right into the NFL content here then. Zoltowski, I see you have something here written in the news that I'm excited to hear about.
Yes, we had some big men acrobatics and some big men action this weekend. So Jeremiah Ledbetter for the Jags got a sack and then proceeded to do a backflip, and he is a 300-pound man. And I said my knees would explode if I did that, but that was impressive. And then yesterday,
knees.
Yeah, the knees back. You would just watch me implode in the air.
Like a lawn chair.
And then we had a big man receiving touchdown with the Detroit Lions yesterday. Shout out Dan Skipper. He's going on the fantasy team because everyone's either hurt or not catching the football, but he can catch the football.
Yeah, true. I mean, that was also kind of a revenge thing for Dan Skipper. Wasn't he the one that tried to catch one last year and there was the penalty and all that?
I thought it was Taylor Decker.
Oh, you're right. It was Taylor Decker.
Yeah, I think they put Decker out there as like a wideout against the Cowboys when they were just dicking around at the end of the game.
There was also a big defensive tackle that got an interception this weekend, and I can't remember his name, but he was like 6'5", like 360.
Didn't Sam Hubbard score too? Didn't he catch a touchdown pass from Burrow?
Did he do that this week? I thought he did that a couple weeks ago.
I thought it was this week. It was. I think it was sitting off. I don't know. Let me double check that, but I'm fairly certain that he caught a touchdown this week. They were on like the 2 or whatever. And I was like, oh yeah, Chase Brown would. Yeah, I need the fantasy points for sure. And then I saw Sam Hubbard score, and I was like, oh, this is stupid.
Yeah, that's annoying. Man, I can't remember who that was. Kalen Saunders, maybe? I don't know. We'll look it up and we'll figure it out. But anyways, yeah, we always, being 3 former guys that played in the trenches, we love seeing the big guys get the glory, and keep your eyes peeled for a Fat Guy Touchdown t-shirt. I think that'll be coming pretty soon. You can get that on GameTimeGents.com.
Yeah, I need one. Actually, give me 3.
Yeah.
Hey, yeah, Sam Hubbard scored, so he caught a ball, and then suffered a PCL injury and is out for the season.
Oh, man.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so at least he scored.
Dave Montgomery, also out for probably the season.
Yep, he's out. Nick Chubb broke his foot. So, I hate to say it, Nick Chubb, his time as a Cleveland Brown may be coming to an end. It's just a lot of injuries to come back from at this late stage in his career, but never count out Nick. That's one thing I'm gonna say.
True.
He's resilient as all get out, and he's such a great player.
Gotta retire as a Brown like right now, right?
I don't think he's gonna play anywhere else, if that's what you mean. But
well, yeah, because I mean Zach Ertz should have just retired as an Eagle or gave him the league min. But he also got an injury this week. Yeah. So a lot of players. It's unfortunate.
We're getting to those dwindling weeks, man. People just coming up injured. Got the whole Detroit Lions defense.
Oh, it's awful. I mean, and it's all around the league. You know, you see injuries more than usual this year. It's been bad.
Yeah, and Zoltowski, you and I were talking about this right before the podcast, but I see a lot of people coming out in opposition of Dan Campbell's call to go for an onside kick with 10 minutes left. I think that was the right call. I mean, you've got Josh Allen playing out of his mind the last 2 weeks. I think he scored over 50 fantasy points the last 2 weeks. So
he was just under this week. I mean, still, it's like 45. So still absolutely incredible. But no, yeah, I agree with that as a fan. Just looking at the situation you're in, like you said, Josh Allen's been playing like MVP caliber football. I really hope the guy wins MVP because I have a 2024 card of 5 of him that probably worth some money. And also, he deserves it. But instead of giving him, ball deep in their own territory where they can just eat up that clock, we held them to a field goal. So, still a 2-score game. get the ball back with way more time. I don't think it's, and you never know, you could recover it, and then hey, different ball game.
Yeah, definitely. I don't understand all the opposition coming out. I mean, even JJ Watt said something on Twitter, just said he didn't understand it, but I think it's pretty easy to understand.
They've been saying a lot, and there are some it was week 6 against Minnesota. It's like the first drive. It was like 4th and 8 or something. They went for a fake punt in their own territory.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, that's just weird. But like, that's how he's been. Like, the play calling on that team, Ben Johnson does a fantastic job. And they've been very successful on 4th down. So why not, give it a shot, especially if you're up, or if you have, if there's really, you have more to gain than to lose.
Bro.
He'll dial him up, that's for sure. All right, so let's get into our fantasy heroes of the week. And Fish, you have to have a lot of weight in yours. Why don't you go ahead and talk about it?
The personal thing or what?
Could be.
My guy, now I played against him in a few spots, but also have him as a fantasy manager. I'm going to go with Jalen Hurts. We all know throughout the season that everyone has dogged on him for only being a running quarterback. His passing is subpar. The whole A.J. Brown issues, not really finding Devontae. It's a big... I mean, obviously, when you have someone like Saquon Barkley, you run it first, and that's what Kellen Moore's been doing, which is fantastic. But Hurts, he said he's had enough. Stats-wise, he went 25 of 32 for 290 yards and 2 touchdowns, adding 15 rushing, which he's known for 45 yards and touchdowns as well. His completion rating was, I believe, second highest this season for him at 78.1%, racking up a total of 28.1 fantasy points. The biggest thing here, and this is why he's got the Philly grit, and that team is just a different breed, is he starts off the interview, he sits down, pulls out the chair, sits down, puts his drink up there, and he goes, "So that's what you all wanted to see, huh?" Immediately silence the whole interview. Reporters, analysts, we know that everybody's been dogging him this week and over the last 10 weeks, that all he can do is run. If it's not the tush push, they're not going anywhere. Team offensively is struggling passing. AJ's frustrated. Devontae's frustrated. That just does not seem the case right now, and I think Jalen proved it to him against a very stout Steeler defense and absolutely picked them apart. Precision passing, knowing when to throw, when to hold on to it, run it. Even that little shuffle pass that he had to Saquon, instead of taking the sack, picked up another 6-7 yards. He is my fantasy hero this week for a very hot Eagles team.
Yeah, he definitely shut up the critics. I mean, I'm looking here at his stats on Sleeper, and he's just the type of fantasy quarterback you want. Now, I know that doesn't always translate to the play in the field, but you guys, what's your record again? Aren't you guys like 12-2?
We are tied with the Lions right now with the same win streak. Well, was the same win streak.
Right. Yeah, though they're tied, but we hold the tiebreaker.
For now, you guys lose.
I think we hold two tiebreakers against you.
I don't know why Jalen was getting so much flack for the way he plays, just because, winning. You guys are winning games. You don't really need to throw the ball as much as people are wanting him to.
Yeah, we don't need to throw for 300 yards. I mean, it was a proven... Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, game script-wise, like, you guys are almost always ahead. You're almost never coming from behind. So, I mean, that's the reason why he averages probably, 13 rushing attempts a game?
Yeah, I mean, he really, I think his passing average is 150 maybe. I mean, there's consecutive weeks where he had 125, a little bit over that yardage per game. But it also helps when Saquon breaks 2 70-yard touchdowns and the game script, like you said, and just time management, clock management is there. It's a different team than what they were last year and even the Super Bowl run. This, I think, is a way better team, way better coached. It seems like Sirianni is officially kind of giving up the keys to the castle and trusting his OCs and his DC, who has got those young guys playing really, really well. So this is a hot and honestly nightmare of a team for anyone that they face. And knock on wood, their schedule coming up, It's not really outside of Washington. It's really nothing to rant and rave about. So if they can stay hot going into the playoffs, that first round bye, it could be a big, big issue for anyone that is really in their path, i.e. the Lions. So we'll see what happens.
Never sleep on those division games, Fishy.
I know that all too well. But
yeah, we'll talk about that division game a little later.
Yeah. I love it. But Zoltowski, now you got someone that I don't think we brought up too much this year. And I'm glad I see this name here.
Yeah, I'm surprised we haven't brought this guy up. He's been having a fantastic rookie season. I went with Malik Neighbors this week. Giants have been struggling at quarterback for a long time now. They've had 3 different quarterbacks, 4 this year alone, and he's still performing no matter who's back there throwing the ball, even if it's just some random guy off the street. I'd love to see him get an actual quarterback that has some game sense and can throw the ball fairly well to see what he can really do. But this week he had 97% snaps, caught 10 of his 14 targets for 82 yards and 1 touchdown, which is 24.2 points in our league together. So still a solid performance out of a team that I think only put up 14 points.
Yeah, so looking at his stats from the year, the only thing he doesn't have is touchdowns. Like, the targets are there, the receptions are there. And like you said, this has been with 4 different quarterbacks. This most recent week has been with Lions legend, Tim Boyle.
Oh, God.
So, and he's
Lions, Packers, Bears, oh my.
Malik is always on the field. Like, I'm looking here at his snap percentages. He doesn't have anything under an 85% for the year. So
who else do they have to give the ball to?
No, you're not wrong.
But I've seen some of the catches he's made. It reminds me of Megatron a little bit, how he can just go get the ball wherever it is because he wants to catch the ball. He wants to win. He's got that dog in him. He's got that drive.
Yeah, but Zoltowski, you bring up an interesting point, though, right? I mean, he's doing all this, putting up these kinds of numbers, and yeah, they are kind of force feeding him, which, I mean, is understandable. You got to feed your best player, right? He's clearly
feed your best guys
on that team. But with the quarterbacks that he has, like currently and over the course of this year, for the numbers that he's putting up as a rookie going against number 1 corners and such, shutdown corners, it's insane. It really is. So I can't imagine if they actually get a quarterback in this draft or they pick up one off the free agent, someone that can actually throw it accurately. I mean, this guy could be a fantasy hero for years to come.
Just like imagine if he was on the Bills, the Chiefs, the Lions, the Eagles, a team that has a great quarterback that can dish the ball out there. I mean, he would be putting up insane numbers.
So not the Browns is what you're saying.
Nope.
I mean, I don't know. I like Jameis. He had a rough game, but I like Jameis.
He did have his best game in Cleveland. Malik did, so.
I feel like that goes with like everyone, though. Everyone has a great game in Cleveland.
Yeah, we're on a lot of highlights.
Yeah, not bad. It's not good.
But for my fantasy hero, I'm staying in division. I'm staying at the same position. And I'm going with scary Terry McLaurin. Terry McLaurin was on the field 90% of snaps. He had 10 targets, 7 receptions, 73 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Scary Terry did go to wide receiver university, The Ohio State University. And he's honestly had a great year. I didn't realize how good of a year he's been having, but he's built quite the rapport with Jaden Daniels. He's ranked 5th currently amongst wide receivers in full PPR formats, and he's on the cusp of his 5th consecutive 1,000-yard season, which I think he'll probably reach it. Maybe not next week because they do play Philly and Quinion Mitchell, but
don't forget Cooper Machine.
Probably against Atlanta or Dallas, he'll get that 1,000 yards. But yeah, Scary Terry, he's been playing great. Still pretty young, 5th-year receiver, so he's my fantasy hero this week. I started him in lieu of a quarterback at a Superflex, and he really performed. So I'm very happy he was on my team this year.
Honestly, a great shout. I mean, he has really picked it up. He started off a slow season, started off really slow. We didn't know if we were going to see the usual production that he had over the last 2-3 seasons, which very up and down, but man, he is really turning around in the back half, and has been an absolutely, staying true to his name, Scary Terry. That guy's been all over the field, breaking tackles, getting open, scoring, not only getting the target share, but also scoring, which we just haven't really seen him do in quite some time. So that's a hell of a pick there, Nut. It's a good call.
Yeah, it's a great pick. I think I remember seeing earlier in the year, someone commented on some news network where it's like, oh, they finally got Terry McLaurin, someone that can throw him the ball.
Yeah, no kidding. He's needed it his entire career, so it's
Jaden Daniels is playing great.
Yeah, unreal. Offensive Rookie of the Year, probably. Him or Brock Bowers.
Oh, God.
Yeah, dude, that's going to be a close one.
It's going to be a close matchup.
It's not going to be like the snub of the Heisman. I won't get into that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, we didn't even touch on that, did we?
No, it's fine. I don't want to. I'll go. It's fine.
All right, we'll skip that. I don't think Zoltowski's very happy with it, but let's get into let's get in our fantasy zeros. Since you boys pick people from the same team, I'm going to go ahead and go first. My fantasy zero, and this is a personal zero for me, because I sat and debated whether to start this guy or Davante Adams, and I should have went with Davante Adams, but I chose Juwan Jennings. Juwan Jennings, I chose him because he's really the only receiving option there. I mean, Debo's been absent for the 49ers for most of this year. Brandon Ayuk is actually absent for the 49ers, and I think something's going on there in San Fran. They've just got guys quitting on them, so it's going to be interesting to see how the rest of the season plays out for them. But Juwan Jennings, 94% snap percentage. He had 9 targets, only had 2 receptions for 31 yards, and a whopping 5.1 fantasy points. So this was a must-win game for the Niners going up against the Rams in their division. They needed to win that game. That was Fish's game of the week last week. Or was it my game of the week? I can't remember. We digress. Anything. The Rams have given up a lot in terms of pass defense. Their pass defense is just not there. Juwan was coming off of a huge week the week before, 28 fantasy points. And I needed a big game from him this week because I'm playing against Bosom in the toilet bowl of our boys league, and he didn't deliver. I should have picked Davante Adams, and I'm sure I will not hear the end of that.
Womp womp.
Loser that league owes the commissioner $1,000. So if you just want to text, send that over.
There's a Venmo, Cash App, PayPal.
I'll take cash this time. It'd be great.
Oh, tax free.
The crazy thing here, I'm looking at those stats, right? We've seen him pop off for 100 yards, 3 touchdowns. We've seen those big games, and then we've also seen those gambles of those small games. But snap percentage is there, very high, 94%, and then targets alone was also there. So, unfortunately, I couldn't be able to see this game, but is Purdy the answer? We keep going back to it. Is Purdy? Is he the guy there, or is it a system thing? I know similar things are happening in Dallas. Everything's just imploding for both those teams. Everything seems good on paper, and then you look at the receptions and the yardage, and you're like, what happened? Where did the other 7 targets go? So, I don't know. But
I don't know how to answer that. I think the team is I think they're just having a tough year. I mean, losing the Super Bowl, was it twice in a row? It's got to suck.
Yeah, they call it the Super Bowl hangover for a reason.
Yeah, they're going through a super hangover right now, and it's just that whole game kind of personified the Niners season.
Yeah, good call there.
But you guys have 2 Dolphins. So which one do you want to go first?
We might as well just put down the entire offense, right?
I'll take it away, Fish, if you don't mind.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so mine's a little weird because he did get hurt during the game, which is a main reason why he didn't perform the way he has been. I went with Jalen Waddle. Only 38% snaps because, again, he got hurt in the first half. He's considered week to week right now, so hopefully he's able to come back. But 0 catches on 2 targets, goose egg for points. But since the bye week, he's been very productive, especially since Tua's returned. You know, they struggled with having really no quarterback, but he comes back. Tyreek's still struggling, but, you know, Waddle's getting the targets. He's getting the catches. He's scoring the points. So, you know, he's been getting started more and more. I know I played against him this week, and I was like, oh no, like, you know, he's normally scoring at least 11, 12 points. He was projected to score 11.2, and he's gone over that the past 3 weeks. So I was pretty nervous. But that's going to be why he's my zero this week. You know, big part, and it sucks that he went out, but, you know, I know a lot of people started him in that wide receiver one or a solid flex because he's been so consistent, and to just drop a goose egg sucks.
Yeah, it's a tough one, especially with that caliber of offense. You expect speed and, you know, throw it down there, and Waddle or Hill will be down there to catch it somewhere, and it's just not happening. So
Jonnu Smith was there to catch the ball, though.
Yeah,
he's been
Tyreek
insane.
didn't either.
Which kind of leads into my zero this week, right? And here's where I don't think we really touched on it as much. Typically in fantasy, when you draft a receiver or running back, you kind of, if you're lucky enough to pair them with their quarterback, right? So you double dip on points. If they have big weeks, the likelihood of you winning is increased because your quarterback is throwing to your receiver. You get double the touchdowns, and you get the yardage from the quarterback and the receiver.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought, let's big brain this, right? I have Tyreek. I picked up Tua. Let's start them both against a really weak receiving core, defensive core in the Houston Texans. We've known that their cornerbacks are just not it lately. The offense has struggled to stay on the field as well, which in layman's terms puts the defense right back on the field. With Tua being back from injury, he's done a lot more check downs to a chain, which has been great. I understand you got to get that momentum going, but then also he's found his new number one in Jonnu Smith, leaving Tyreek and Jalen Waddle out to dry. We know that Tyreek is injured with that wrist injury. Waddle went down with an injury as well, but Tua's stats wise, it just doesn't make any sense. I don't know if that last hit that he took jarred something loose, but he is 29 of 40 attempts this past game for 196 yards. He did get one touchdown, but he also threw 3 interceptions and lost a fumble, giving us a grand total of 3.8 fantasy points this week. Him and obviously Waddle and Tyreek Hill, the big, fast guys. High-powered offense. We saw him drop 70 last year, hopefully kind of carrying the same thing into this year. It just hasn't clicked. All of them combined barely put up 8.5 fantasy points, especially in a league where I started Cooper Kupp as well. Man, that yikes! Especially when we hit the playoffs there. So he is my fantasy zero. It's more of a personal thing because I had a couple other players that were a good option to stream, but went ahead against my best judgment. Looked at it, everything on paper made sense. Unfortunately, Tua did not come out and perform. Neither did the entire Dolphins offense, unless it's Jonnu Smith. So in a chain. So my fantasy zero, Tua, and really the entire Miami offense.
Yeah, it's a great point. I mean, I just did a quick calculation. Tua had 29 completions for 196 yards. That's like 6.5 yards per completion. That's really, really low. That's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen that since he came back from his injury. He's relying more on a chain, which, yeah, very fast, very explosive player. Get him an open field and he's gone. And we've seen the check down to Jonnu Smith as well. You get a big target out there, someone with a big, wingspan where you can just toss it up and he could hopefully jump and bring it down. But it just doesn't seem like they're on the same page with a deep ball or whatever it may be. Maybe he doesn't have the confidence or enough time in the pocket to really gun up, crawl hop into it and launch one. But yeah, it's kind of been all over the place with the Dolphins offense, which it was okay and acceptable last year when they would put up, 13 points and then next week it was 50 something. But now it's more, you see a lot more consistent 13, 17 points this year, less than 25. Which that offensive caliber, it shouldn't be happening. So,
yeah, I'm not really sure where the receptions went. I mean, I saw A-Chain had 7, as he usually does, but I guess Jonnu Smith was the other person that had most of the receptions. But yeah, Waddle was 0. I think Tyreek had 3.
Yeah.
So I mean,
not good.
Yeah, it's just A lot of bad football coming out of Miami right now.
Yeah, tough pill to swallow, that's for sure. But on to next week. That's all you can do.
And speaking of next week, let's get into our fantasy starts of the week. Now, I do want to preface this segment. We got some pushback a little bit about like why would we make this player the start of the week, not this player. These are gambles. These are gamble starts of the week where we think these guys could pop off. Now, they're not guys you're going to start every week like a Saquon Barkley or a Justin Jefferson. You know, if you need to be told to start those guys,
you join our league.
Yeah.
You join our league, $1,000 entry.
Join our league. Don't listen to the podcast. I mean, I don't know. It's kind of crazy that people still don't understand the point of this segment, but maybe that's our fault for not explaining it. But what we're going to do here, these are gambles for you to start. Sometimes they work out, sometimes they don't. Last week they worked out a little bit, I would say.
Week before, the one really worked out for me.
Yeah. Garindo worked out for you. Bucky Irving worked out for me the week before that. So I'm going to start here, boys, if you don't mind. I'm going to go with my team. I'm going to be a homer at this point. Nick Chubb is out for the rest of the year with a broken foot. There is controversy at the quarterback position going into this game. We don't know if Dorian Thompson-Robinson is going to start. We don't know if Jameis Winston's going to start. What we do know is Jerome Ford is going to start. Jerome Ford's going to be the lead back for the Cleveland Browns. He's been playing well. Last week, I believe he had 18 fantasy points in full PPR formats. He played well last year when Chubb went out in week 2 with that knee injury. They are playing the Bengals this week. They're allowing 123.9 yards per game rushing. They're also allowing 239.2 yards per game receiving. And Jerome Ford is used heavily in the receiving game. At least he was last year when he was the lead back. So I say all that to say, if Dorian Thompson-Robinson starts or Jameis starts, I think he's going to be a pretty safe play. There's going to be a lot of checkdowns to Jerome Ford, especially because I think people are really going to start keying on Jerry Jeudy. I know he's playing really, really well, but I just don't know if the shaky quarterback play from either of these guys are going to provide much value. I know it has in the past, but I really think Jerome Ford's going to shine in this matchup, both rushing and receiving the ball out of the backfield.
Honestly, I think it's a great pick there, especially for a late flex. If he's out there, it's a hell of a play, hell of a pickup.
Yeah, that's a really good pick. He's played well. He's fun to watch when he runs the ball. He runs hard, runs fast. I think he's broken off a couple bigger runs too, so he's got that potential, especially with a pretty crappy Cincinnati defense this year. So I think it's a great pick.
Sorry, the last thing I wanted to say, he is rostered in 89% of leagues on Sleeper. Last week he was only started in 19%. I know that's because Chubb was playing, but if you have him stashed on your bench, you might want to throw him in a flex this week.
Yeah, I mean, to your point though, he runs the ball well. I think his best ability is catching out of the backfield. Mm-hmm. You get him in any type of space there, it could be trouble for the defense, especially a struggling one in the Cincinnati Bengals. So I think it's a great shout. I like it. I like the pick.
Fish, let's go to yours. He's been having a pretty good season.
Yeah, this rookie, obviously Jacksonville has been playing behind most of the time, so I'm going to go with Brian Thomas Jr. This guy's having a hell of a rookie season. I think it's not touched on enough. Over the course of this year, he's had 64 receptions, currently ranked 25th out of all receivers. He almost has 1,000 yards at 956, currently ranked 8th. He does have the touchdowns as well as 8 touchdowns, ranked 5th right now. So they're definitely using him within the passing game. And then the thing that kind of spoke out to me just a little bit is his yards per catch. He's a little less than 15 yards per catch, which is currently ranked 47th. Jags, again, team is not very great. They're playing against the Raiders, who are worse, if we can believe that. But we know that the Jags defense at any minute could give up 45 points to anyone, any high school team, you name them, I think, and give them a run for their money. So there's a good chance, since the Jags defense ranks last in total defense, there's a good chance that they play down with a questionable not Oakland Raiders, not anymore, Vegas Raiders. But with that being said, the Raiders defense against number 1 receivers of the last 4 weeks, Mike Evans, he had 4 of 69 in week 13. D-Hop, had 4 of 90 yards. Cortland Sutton, this is the bigger one. He had 8 receptions for 97 yards and 2 touchdowns. And then Jonnu, I feel like we talk about this guy all the time now. Jonnu Smith, 6 receptions for 101 yards and 2 touchdowns. Raiders defense in general, which is very average, currently ranked 15th in total pass D, giving up about 217 yards per game. The bigger thing, what kind of tickles my fancy with starting Brian Thomas, is that the Raiders have given up 24 total passing touchdowns, tied for the second most. So, Jacksonville, again, you got to feed your best player. Brian Thomas Jr. is their best player, and they're going to find a way to get him the ball, especially with Mac Jones playing right now against a very tough Jets defense. Went 31 of 46 for 294 yards and 2 touchdowns. So, be alert. If you need a flex position, you kind of, questionable there, Brian Thomas might be your guy going forward.
Yeah, I think it's a great pick, especially with what you just said about, the number one receiving options. I mean, we're recording this right now as the Raiders are playing against the Falcons, and Drake London already has a touchdown and I think 2 catches for like 48 yards. So definitely some holes in that Raiders defense. I think Brian Thomas Jr. will play well there. I think it's a good pick.
Yeah, I think that's a really good pick. Quarterback's been playing really well. Like you said, against a tough Jets defense, like the backup with the number ones from the other teams they've played. The Raiders have looked rough all year. Yeah, like we keep saying constantly, you got to feed your best players, and I think he should have a pretty good game. So I like it.
All right, but Zoltowski, you also have a pass catcher for your fantasy start of the week. Now, this was interesting to me because not a lot of people pick tight ends.
Pittsburgh Steeler one to be more accurate. I went with Pat Freiermuth. Now, you think of the Steelers, you think of, you got Najee, you're starting Russ, you're George Pickens, but Pat's been very consistent as a tight end. That's the one spot where it's very, very hit or miss every week is, hey, are they just going to run the ball a lot, get a lot of blocking, or are they going to start running play action and start throwing it to the tight end? He's been really consistent since their bye week. He's scoring at least 10 or more points, minus only having 9.9, which is close enough for me against Cleveland. And then the last time they played Baltimore, which is who they play this week on Saturday, he had 3.4. But the Ravens pass D is ranked 31st in the league, and they allow 258.9 yards per game to opponents on that. So I'm starting him in my tight end slot, unless I have a Brock Bowers or TJ Hawkinson or those really big name tight ends. Or then run him in your flex. Run a double tight end. I've done it before. I've seen success with it.
So what you're saying is the Muth is loose. Shout out to the fantasy footballers.
Oh man, why?
Not my pun. It's their pun. I'm just using it.
I think we're going into the fryer pan.
I think that's all right, dude. I think that's a great pick. Freiermuth is very good, and like you said, the Ravens' pass defense is very, very shaky. It has been all season, so I think it's a great pick.
Pains me to pick a Steeler, but the matchup is there.
No, we've seen consistency. Now, the targets are not there, so he has been getting luck with a few touchdowns here and there, but we have seen consistency with Freiermuth. He's kind of stepping into that main role of hey, I'm not only here to block, I can also catch, don't forget. And then, now, Zoltowski, remember, who is their quarterback again? Who has control of the locker room?
I think it was Justin Fields. I think now it's Steelers country. Let's ride Russell Wilson.
Russell Wilson, not Westbrook, but Russell Wilson. So
I've been saying it, dude. Russell Wilson has the locker room, and also Pat Freiermuth has a touchdown in the last 3 weeks.
So consistency's there. I like that pick. Like Nutter said, we don't see too many. Hey, here's our tight ends going forward. Just because it's a dime a dozen essentially, unless you have a Brock Bowers or such like that. But this is a very interesting pick. Very good. Very late tight end flex if need be. So I think it's a good shout.
Yeah. You need 10 points. 10 points in the playoffs can make or break.
Yeah. Thanks, Tua.
And picks like this is the point of this segment.
Ooh, he might be on something.
Hey, Fish, you got any fries over there for all this salt? Next segment.
Games of the week. We do like to do these in order. So, Fish, you picked the Thursday game. Why don't you go ahead and sell it to us, buddy?
Absolutely. As a salesman myself, going with Denver versus Chargers. Both are currently in the hunt, very neck and neck essentially. This game could make or break getting into the playoffs. Denver currently sitting in the 6th spot while the Chargers are sitting in the 7th. We know that both teams can get hot fairly quickly. Defenses aren't horrible, but let me read you some of Denver's offensive stats, though. Total yards ranked at 22nd for 311 yards per game. Total passing, 23rd at 202 yards per game. Total rushing, and we know a lot of this does not come from the running back. It comes from Bo Nix doing Bo Nix things. Currently ranked 20th at 108 yards. We know what he can do with his legs as well as his arm. And again, he's been leaning on Courtland Sutton a lot more too. So total points, though, also kind of surprising with this, though. Currently ranked 10th at 24 points, which is kind of sneaky up there. They score enough on the offensive side, and their defense is fairly decent. On the Chargers and defensive-wise, though, let me read you some of this, though. Total yards given up, 14th, giving up 336 yards of total offense. Total passing, currently ranked 9th, 211 yards per game, while rushing. Now, here's the big thing. This is where Bo Nix could burn them just a little bit, or even Williams could burn them. They're sitting at 19th, giving up 125 yards per game. And we all know if we can establish that running game, could be a big detriment to the Chargers defense right there. And then total points, which I find this very, very interesting on both sides for the Chargers and Denver. They're both tied for first, only giving up 17.6 points per game. I tell you what, if this is not game of the week where it's a make and break game to make the playoffs, Bo Nix could lead Denver to the first playoff game in how many years? Justin Herbert doing his thing with the Chargers, really leading them back. They got a young offense. They're finally getting their core set and established. I don't know what to tell you. I mean, this is prime time game of the week, and there's a reason why it's on a Thursday. That's my game of the week, Denver versus Chargers. Be locked in.
I think it's a fantastic pick for this week. I mean, a lot of playoff implications there. Chargers are hot. Denver's hot. It's going to be a fun game to watch for sure.
Yeah, great pick, Fish. Love watching Bo Nix play. Chargers got a pretty good coach over there too, if I'm not mistaken.
I think they do, yeah.
But a great way to start the week off with an absolute battle that should be happening here on Thursday night.
Well, boys, we do have Saturday football as well this week. I'm not sure if you knew that.
So weird. And then
that little break between college football bowl games and all that stuff. So my game of the week is going to be the AFC North brawl between Pittsburgh and Baltimore. Now you want to talk about playoff implications. This game has all the playoff implications you could ever want. So the Steelers are 10-4. The Ravens are 9-5. Lamar Jackson is very much still in that MVP race, especially after this last week performance. A lot of people think Josh Allen's run away with it. I think he's probably the clear-cut winner, but Lamar Jackson still in the race at second place. The Steelers won the first matchup in this bout, 18-16. Like I said, there's a lot of playoff implications here. If Baltimore wins, both teams will be 10-5 on the season. Both teams will be 3-2 in the division. They'll be 1-1 against each other. Their seeding will then need to be determined by the last few games of the season, and they each have one division game left. The Bengals play the Steelers at home, the Steelers host the Bengals week 17, and then the Ravens host the Browns on week 17. So, and if you know anything about AFC North football, you know they're on Hard Knocks right now, Hard Knocks in season. Better believe those two teams from Ohio are going to want to be playing spoiler for the Bengals and the Ravens. So a lot of interesting things are going to happen in this game, especially if the Ravens win. Now, the Ravens are, and this shocked me, the Ravens are 6-point favorites at home. This is a 44.5 point over-under. I think it's probably, weather permitting, going to reach over that, especially with, the dynamic offense of the Baltimore Ravens. But I'm just going to go through some stats here. For the Baltimore Ravens, they have 424 yards per game at first. They're first in the league there, averaging 29.9 points per game. They're third in the league. For Pittsburgh, they're averaging 325.6 yards per game at 18th, and 24 points per game. They're ranked 11th there. The biggest thing I want to talk about, though, is the turnover margin between these two teams. Steelers are number 1 in turnover margin this year, tied with Buffalo. They're plus 18 in the turnover margin, and they lead the league in 30 takeaways. They have 15 interceptions, 15 fumbles. Baltimore only is plus 2 in the turnover differential with 12 takeaways, and that's tied for 24th. So maybe see the Steelers take the ball away from the Ravens once, maybe twice, but I think it's going to be a battle between both the teams, and I'm excited to watch this game for sure.
Yeah,
go ahead, Fish.
No, absolutely. Go ahead, take it over.
Yeah, I think it'll be a great game there. The AFC North, these divisional games, especially near the end of the season, when you get all these implications in there, they just get better and better. Steelers are hot. They've already clinched, but I think they're still gonna want to have that divisional title this year. The Ravens are still very much in the possibility of being, on the cusp of the playoffs at 9-5. But I think it'll be a really good game to watch, especially fill that hole on a Saturday.
Well, I think this is determining seed 2 and seed 5 is what this game is going to lead to.
Are they going to? Because I know the Steelers clinched, but is it the Ravens going to clinch with?
Well, yeah. If the Ravens win, they'll both be 10-5.
Yeah,
and then they'll both be 3-2 in the division. So the seeding is going to come down to whoever wins the rest of the games, or whatever the last outcome of their divisional game will be. So, like I said, the Steelers are hosting the Bengals week 17, then the Ravens are hosting the Browns. So definitely be interesting to see what happens, especially if the Baltimore Ravens win this game.
Yeah, do we know if TJ Watt playing? Is he okay? What's the extent of that injury?
I have no idea. I should have looked into that, but I can take a peek real quick.
Like all I know is that Pittsburgh got embarrassed this past weekend against the Eagles. So they're coming in with a chip on their shoulder. Let's ride. I think George Pickens should be playing as well, and I know that was a big factor, him not playing the last 2 weeks. So their passing wise has not been the greatest.
Gotta give it into Freiermuth.
I know. I love that. I really do. But, I mean, Lamar, what he just did this past weekend, again, another 5 touchdowns, 290 through the air. It's tough to contain him, especially when we thought, like, oh, well, if they just stop Derrick Henry, like, yeah, he's going to be out there. Lamar's going to do Lamar things. But, I mean, Derrick Henry has had a couple dud 2 weeks, and they really haven't gone down in production. If anything, they got more lethal. So I don't know. We know how Lamar plays towards the end of the season until he gets playoffs, and then he absolutely chokes. But it's I don't know. This is a really good one. It's going to be a tough one. It's going to be a hard-fought battle, that's for sure. So
it says Tomlin is optimistic that both T.J. Watt, George Pickens play. Then you listed some other guys here he's hoping will play: Deshaun Elliott, Dante Jackson, Larry Ogunjobi, and also Justin Fields. So,
yeah, TJ had a low ankle sprain, is what I read. But if he doesn't play, Baltimore has a better chance of running away with it, just because I think he's going to be their contained guy.
Yeah, but we know that Ravens, their corners are not the greatest, and George Pickens is a fairly large man who has been in his diva phase of little temper tantrums on the sidelines, but we know Tomlin's not going to put up with that shit. So I think that's partially why he's been out, in air quotes, the last couple weeks. But in a game that you need to win in order to, seed differential, all your players have to play. And even if TJ Watt is mildly hurt, I think he's, a mildly hurt TJ Watt compared to their next guy up is still night and day. So, again, this is going to be a hell of a game. It's going to be in the trenches. We'll see if Lamar can do Lamar things, or if they're going to rely a little bit more on Derrick Henry, and we'll see if Russell Wilson, see if he's a real deal with a fully healthy offensive, receiving core. could be a game changer. So
yeah, it's going to be a good game for sure. Zoltowski, you also had a divisional game.
I do have a divisional game. So 2 games at 1 o'clock on Sunday I'll be watching. 2 divisional games I'll be watching, the Bears and the Lions. Then I'm going to be watching the Philadelphia Eagles play the Washington Commanders at 1 p.m. Eagles are looking to take the number 1 seed from the Lions, and then the Commanders are looking to stay in the playoffs at 9-5. A lot of teams in the NFC. I can't believe the Vikings are 11-2, and they're the 5th seed in the playoffs.
Wild.
Right now, just because of that division. But Daniels was playing well. Hurts just came off having a really, really big game. I know Saquon struggled a little bit, but he's been having a fantastic year. Talked about Terry McLaurin having a great year too. There's a lot of weapons on both these teams. That I think it's just going to be a shootout a little bit. I think we're going to see Hurts throw the ball a little bit more. We're definitely going to see Jaden Daniels throw the ball, but then we got 2 running quarterbacks too. So those guys with their legs are really, really good. Couple stats here. You got Washington scoring 28.3 points per game, which is 6th in the league, averaging 373.9 yards per game, number 5 in the league. So good on them. And then on the defensive side of the ball, they're allowing 22.5 points per game, which is 16th, so not too bad, and giving up 321.8 yards against at number 11. So pretty solid team there. I know beginning of the year we were like, they got this rookie quarterback, kind of counted them out, but they've been having a fantastic season. And then on the other side, you got Philly. Philly's been having a really good year as well. They're scoring 26.4 points per game at number 8. And they're averaging 373.2 yards per game at number 6. So 0.7 yard differential between these 2 teams, which is pretty crazy. But they got the number 1 defense in the league right now. They're only allowing 17.6 points against and 275.6 yards per game. So you got Cooper DeJean, Quinion Mitchell. Washington, did they trade for that?
Yeah.
What's his name?
Marshawn Lattimore.
Marshawn Lattimore. Yep, that's who it is.
Which he did not play the last time. They did not play last time they met up. So
yeah, and it was only
the same week that he got traded.
It was only an 8-point game.
Yep.
So I think it's going to be a really, really, really good game on Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, Eagles already clinched it. So obviously the biggest goal here for us, right, is number 1, not for anybody to get hurt. Any of the big stars, whatever it may be. 2, carrying that momentum, that hotness into the playoffs. We've seen it in baseball. We've seen it in all sports. Whoever carries that momentum, that win streak, that hot, typically has a fairly good run into it. But obviously the last thing being, this is number 1 seed. This is the bye for us. If we can win out and Lions lose at all, we get a first round bye. Now we've kind of kicked ourselves in the ass before of having a first round bye, and then you got all this time, and you're like, okay, what do we do now? Do we play this week? Do we get too much rest? So I mean, this is arguably this is the toughest game that we'll face. Knock on wood, this is the toughest game that we'll face the rest of the year to finish out. I think we play against Dallas and then someone else, but
Giants.
Yeah, you play Dallas and then the Giants. This is the only losable game for the Eagles. In my eyes,
I mean, don't say that. Division games they'll lose out for some reason. But
yeah, Cooper Rush has been playing well.
True, but this is by far the toughest game that we'll face now with a full, healthy Commanders team, and they have Marshawn Lattimore. So I'd be very curious to see how AJ Brown, what he does against him. Anyone, we know what Marshawn can do. He can lock up anybody, and he is known over the years to lock up every number 1 receiver. So, again, it's a different story when we still have Devontae and a few other guys, and Saquon I think is a decent running back this year. But I mean, AJ's going to get his too. So it'd be really interesting to see if we can attack Marshawn. See if we can whittle him down at all, break off some big games, maybe a lot of crosses or a double clutch deep ball. But it'll be a game and a half, that's for sure. So very excited to see it. Can't wait.
Is there any worry about AJ Brown's ankle in this matchup?
No, I mean obviously
we're rolled up on. Did he come back into that game?
He did not, but the game was too far out of reach anyway. So
okay.
Yeah, I think we got the first down shortly after, and then it was just icing the clock from there. But from what I've seen, he was walking on his own on the sidelines. It looks like it just got rolled up on, nothing too crazy. Obviously, they'll monitor his ankle and everyone, because I think Jalen's playing with a broken finger as well. So they'll definitely monitor that too. But again, we've already clinched the playoffs right now. We're just playing for that number 1 spot. But anything could happen in these games, especially we know how we get chippy with the Commanders and Dallas and the Giants, especially when teams lose 12, 13 games. People, they look out to hurt others to kind of ruin that chances for the other team's playoff run. So just be on the lookout. I don't think the Commanders would do that, but you never know how things get in the trenches. So
yeah, I think this is going to be a great game as well. I mean, we're kind of getting spoiled with the matchups this weekend. Hopefully there's a lot of good football to come this weekend. I'm definitely excited to have ass planted and just watch a bunch of these games. So it's going to be,
I'm here for it.
Going to be a fun weekend of football, boys.
Last couple weeks have not been the best.
True, yeah. But that concludes it for our football portion of the show. We are going to go ahead and go into the draft, the closing section here, and we do need to get our randomizer going here as well as our drum roll. And then first we have Zoltowski. I am second, and Fisher.
It's about time.
That's bullshit.
So Zoltowski, best movie villains of all time.
Easy 1-1. Not even gonna need to explain this one's Darth Vader.
God damn you, man.
It's number 1. It's still literally tattooed on my arm. So
I mean, did you think he was gonna slip at all to two?
Is there any thoughts?
There's no way. Even I knew that, and I wasn't gonna pick him.
I was hoping that I was going to get first pick because that was definitely also my 1-1. But yeah, you're right. From the first scene he appears in the 1977 Star Wars A New Hope, it's just the coolest thing ever, man.
It was just called Star Wars when it came out, man. That's it.
True. That's true. Spark of that lightsaber, just crushing dudes in the hallway.
Rest in peace, James Earl Jones. What a voice.
Yeah. We did lose him this year. That sucks. But that's a great pick, Zoltowski. I'm not even gonna can't even be mad at that.
I think that's the best 1-1 of any draft we've had.
All right, calm down there, Chief.
I think it's up there. SpongeBob might be up there, but
oh God.
I'm gonna go with it is Christmas time, so you think about villains in movies, you think about, around the 1980s, you think about those just glorified movie villains. I'm gonna go with Hans Gruber.
You son of a bitch.
And Die Hard. It's just a great movie.
That's a great pick. He was
one of Alan Rickman's best performances other than Snape, but Hans Gruber, man. Gotta be my 102 here.
I mean, this is all big. I mean, he was on my list for sure. But to round it out, I'm gonna go with a classic. Joker. Gotta go with the Joker. And then
which Joker?
Heath Ledger. Come on.
Heath Ledger. We said movies too. It's the Heath Ledger Joker.
Yeah, we got Jack Nicholson.
The Heath Ledger.
It's the Heath Ledger. This is where you finally got to see like the real dark side, the psychoticness in the Joker. That was him. I mean, he built that roll up. All the other Jokers that we've seen, it just doesn't even come close to what every Joker should have been. Clinically insane. You don't know what's his next move, kind of thing. That was the portrayal of the best Joker. So that's got to be my 1-3. Now to do a little whip round on the turn here. We love to see this. I'm going to go with another iconic villain. He didn't have a nose, and nobody liked to say his name, but I will say it. I'm going to go with Lord Voldemort.
I knew you were going to go with this one.
Lord Voldemort. That entire Harry Potter series, he played a very, very good role. I wish they went to a little bit more of the darker side or kind of like did his own movie, but I'm a villain bias guy, but Voldemort has got to be my 2-1 on the turn.
Are you excited for the HBO show coming out? I think they'll
I
dive a little bit more deeper in that.
Couldn't. It is One Punch season 3 and right into that. So
I heard Cillian Murphy was potentially going to play.
Killian Murph.
Killian, that's how it is. Yeah, sorry.
Cillian. What?
Killian. Listen. Apologies.
Hey, take his 2-3 away.
In honor of Voldemort, can you give us your best Kadava?
I will not, because we will lose listeners. I'll do it this weekend at the sushi spot. I'll get the job.
We need it on recording.
I'll record it, but I'll stay in my phone.
Yeah, I got a little sinus in my throat's a little scratchy right now, and I don't want to do it.
Such a
dude. I surprised myself. I was surprised. You know, it's that little meme with the girl at the wedding is going around. She's like, yeah, all this, and then I don't know. Have you guys seen that clip? You guys know what I'm talking about?
I mean, you're gonna have to be.
No, yeah, I haven't seen that one actually.
So it's okay. So this girl is going around. It was like a Harry Potter themed wedding, and she's like casting spells on everybody. And this guy's dressed up in like a tuxedo or whatever. He like blocks it, and like everybody laughs it off. And then she's walking by, and he goes, "Who am I gonna?" The whole place. I'll send it to you guys. That shit has me rolling.
I've not seen that. That's so funny.
Hilarious. Just put the 6-year-old out. It's crazy, but anywho, who's your 2-2, dude?
All right, I'm struggling between two picks here, and I think I'm going to go with one I think Zoltowski might take.
Ooh, dude.
Swear to God, if you take another one from me, I'm fighting you.
Just to save my other one. I'm going to go with Thanos from the Avengers.
Okay, we're good.
I think the Avengers did such a good job of making, or the movie writers, the directors, everything, did such a good job of making his story, believable enough for him to have stake and not just like, oh, I want to kill half the universe. No, it made sense. His reasoning made sense behind what he was trying to do.
The scary thing about it.
Yeah, that is.
And I think that's the reason why I'm picking Thanos here. He's I know it's just a comic book movie, but Josh Brolin's portrayal of him is just such a deep character. And it's even funnier that I'm saying that about a CGI character, but yeah, one of the best villains in movie history in my eyes.
Yeah, no, it's a good pick. I waited the whole year to see Endgame, and I hated every second of it, but it was so worth it in the end.
All right, now, Zoltowski, you have the whipper up. Please don't pick my guy.
Oh, I hope I pick your guy.
Please don't pick my guy.
But, so, my second pick, I'm going with one from a really, really good trilogy of movies. Who is, in the beginning, he's just another part of the programming. But then he becomes his own person. I'm going with Agent Smith from The Matrix.
Yep. Yep. I've read a lot of good things.
Mr. Anderson. I love those movies, man. I have not seen the new one.
Not good.
Because, that's what I've heard.
It's not great.
And I was like, why? Because they ended the story. It's fine. We won't get into it. They ended the story. Shouldn't have been a fourth one. I mean, I love watching Keanu, though.
If fan service was a movie, it's Matrix 4.
We could go into depth about the sequel trilogy of Star Wars if you really want to.
No.
Okay, so on the whip around, going with a classic villain here. They always say that sequels are better than the original, and I think that's the case with this villain. It's the T-1000 from Terminator 2.
That's a good shout.
Yeah. Arnold's portrayal is great as the T-800, but the liquid metal assassin comes in who can shapeshift and form any weapon. Yeah, dude, I mean, and he was ruthless too. He didn't care. He was ruthless as hell.
It's a great shout.
It's a great pick, yeah. Thankfully, neither of those were my pick, and I was honestly debating on taking this guy first.
Ooh.
Like my first pick. He's not a lot of people. I mean, a lot of people have watched this movie. Not a lot of people watch this movie a lot. It's a very well shot movie. This movie has no music. Do you guys know what I'm talking about yet?
No.
I'm taking Anton Chigurh.
No
Country for
yeah.
Old Men.
Yep.
That is such a fantastic movie. He's a fantastic villain. just his entire demeanor of he is God. Essentially, that's what he thinks, or he is karma, I guess I would say, is just such a cool portrayal, and I love that movie so much. It's so heavy sometimes though that you can only watch it maybe like once every few months. It's such a good movie, man.
Yeah, his whole shtick with the coin and the way that he kills people with his little weapon.
That whole scene with the guy in the store he stops in.
Yeah.
Heads or tails? Well, what am I betting on? Everything. Like, oh my God, dude. Great movie.
Yeah, it's wild, that's for sure. An incredible movie.
The Fish.
Yes. So,
what's your third pick?
My third and fourth pick, I'm gonna go with just a cult classic. They had an original well, it was one movie, but they had it on 2 discs. It was so long. They had a part 1 and a part 2. Then they remade it twice. I'm gonna go with Pennywise.
I thought you were talking about the iceberg and the Titanic.
No, I'm talking
about 2 VHSs.
Yes, 2 minutes smashed together. The old one was creepy. It was alarming. First disc was with the kids, and then the second one was when they were all grown up. But Pennywise, again, talk about a ruthless, arguably one of the most fearful things. It was spiders and clowns. Nobody liked going to circuses. Yada yada yada. John Wayne Gacy did his thing as a clown. Just a bunch of bad shit. If you're a clown, perfectly portrayed in a lot of these movies. So, as a villain, it has to be one of the most feared things out there.
I just saw a thread on Twitter about this is where this idea came from, actually, about movie villains, and someone retweeted a picture of Pennywise in the newest movie where he, like, his face is opening up and it's got all the teeth. You know what I'm talking about?
Yep.
And someone goes, "Wait, Pennywise isn't just a dude in a clown suit." It's like, no, he's an eater of worlds. Like,
yeah,
he's an insane character. So that's funny you picked that.
For fun fact, they are coming out with the TV series.
Are they really?
They are.
Yeah, it's a prequel, isn't it? It's set.
Yeah.
I think even before the first one, right?
Yes. So we're supposed to get a little bit more of a tale of like Pennywise himself. So very, very excited for that.
Who's making it?
Oh God, I can't remember how to look
like
it
what
up.
network? I mean, is it like HBO, Showtime, or is it like...
I want to say it's HBO.
God,
which
I hope so.
Yeah, I think it's.
They're not going to hold anything back. So
hopefully it's not like CW or something.
Yeah, it's Disney.
Yeah.
What? Yeah.
Disney's it.
Actually.
Maybe.
But my whip round, I mean, there's so many different characters out there. I love good villains, but I think this villain in particular plays a little bit more of the mind games, especially in your dreams. I'm going to go with Freddy Krueger.
Good pick.
As a cult classic, this guy played with his food and got to all of them. Even in the movies, when you see him die somehow, they pull him out of the nightmare realm and then into the real life. Freddy versus Jason, all that bullshit. He's still alive. It's got to be, to round it out for me, it's got to be a good Freddy Krueger.
It's a great pick.
Thank you.
Yeah, great pick, Fish.
My last pick here isn't really a villain per se, but he's definitely the villain in the movie. I'm going with the shark from Jaws.
That's a good pick.
That was the first.
Yeah.
It was the first horror movie, if you want to classify it as horror, that I've ever seen that I loved. Just the entire town scared of something that's in the water when they could just, I don't know, not go in the water is something interesting. I mean,
but that was like the whole thing that the town had was
I know. But...
So like it kind of made sense, but it's a great pick. A wonderful theme and memorable.
From Jaws.
I missed the ride at Universal. So, quick comment on Fish's Pennywise pick. It is Warner Brothers, so it's HBO. is making that series.
Awesome.
So it's probably going to be pretty good.
So much blood all over the place. I can't wait.
Yeah. All right. My turn. Last pick.
Last pick, dude. Bring us home.
Pressure, man. First and last. So, but I think I got a good one here. A little bit of a longer movie, a little bit more controversial, just because it's one, Quentin Tarantino, and two, the time period that it's set in. But I'm gonna go with the villain, the true villain from Inglourious Bastards.
Yes.
Hans Landa. I don't know why I said the Landa, but yeah, no, he's just. I mean, he's cold. He's calculating. I mean, and he's just evil. That's what he wants to do. Is he just wants to be sick, and while keep his self-preservation too. Like he's willing to betray anybody and everybody just so he will survive. Great movie, long movie, but so worth it.
For second Hans, man.
German Hans too.
German Hans.
Those names aren't region specific.
True. No, I think that's a good pick, or a great pick too. I need to watch that movie again. I saw it years ago and I hardly remember it.
Yeah, Tarantino movies are just, they're so good.
Yeah.
That one, and then you've got Reservoir Dogs, which I actually have the soundtrack to that on vinyl.
Reservoir Dogs is amazing.
That's a great movie. Pulp Fiction is a classic.
Oh, I love
Kill Bill. I've actually never seen Kill Bill Volume 1 and 2. I need to watch it.
I've never
They're not bad.
Fiction.
They're not bad. Django.
I'm sorry. What? Yeah, Django. How did I forget about Django?
Yeah, I've never seen Pulp Fiction.
I don't know if he'll like it though. I think it's a little too old school for him.
I think
maybe.
I like it.
I like the story. The storytelling in it is very interesting. Like how they tell the story.
That's the most important thing for me is compelling storytelling. So
yeah. I mean, you've got so many. You've got Bruce Willis. You've got Samuel L. Jackson. You've got John Travolta.
Uma Thurman.
Yeah, Uma Thurman.
Look at you knowing things.
Look at you going and knowing. But yeah, a lot of big names that just work really well together. The diner scene.
Oh man,
that's classic, man.
Spoilers.
Yeah, that's fine.
You won't like it anyway, so it's fine.
That's fine. What's that quote, Fish? What's the Bible verse? Do you know it off the top of your head?
Yeah, hold on. Let me pull it out of the back book here. No, I don't know it. Oh, shucks. That means I want to watch the movie again.
Oh man. Something about walking through the valley of the shadow of death. He shall fear no evil.
Yeah, he's fearing it.
Watch it. Or we can do a group watch on Discord. I'm here for it.
Let's do a group watch. I'm done.
Yeah, but we need to start Attack on Titan though.
True. Maybe we can watch that in person. The movie. Just because it's a one-off.
Yeah, call that one guy that we used to play Diablo with, and who played 3 games of Marvel Rivals with us. What's his name?
He loves it though.
He loves it. Can't get enough of it. All right, any honorable mentions here, boys? I have a couple.
You go ahead. There's too many for villains.
I got Alonzo Harris from Training Day. He's one for sure. Not sure if you guys have seen Training Day or not, but
probably.
And then also Norman Bates from Psycho. Psycho was one of the earlier horror movies I've also seen that I really, really like. So maybe I like horror. Maybe I just don't like demons and shit, Fish.
I mean, we knew this. I'm surprised nobody said Michael or Jason.
Yeah, I thought about it, but their whole thing is they're just, unstoppable killing machines. They're
right. It's not as fun. It's just not as fun.
It's not. I mean, it's still good, but it's not as fun. I had a couple. You got Hannibal Lecter from Silence of the Lambs.
Oh,
then another good horror movie is Misery. I don't know if you guys have ever seen that, Stephen King.
Yeah.
Gotta make sure I get her name right. But it's Annie Wilkes.
I've seen the Family Guy rendition of that.
Yeah, it's actually pretty accurate. Family Guy's weird about that. It's decently accurate. Obviously,
it's a little punched up.
There's some scenes where like when Joe loses his legs, that's just him becoming handicapped.
Yeah.
But yeah, you get the gist of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that's a great movie. But that'd probably be my two. Probably name at least another 10, but I won't.
Yeah, no, I think we compiled a pretty good list. We'll have to do heroes one day.
It's a really good first round.
I think next week we're gonna do our favorite holiday songs. Just 'cause it's the Christmas special, but
right,
I'm here for it.
Here's Frankie.
Yeah, here comes Frankie. But yeah, that's great picks, boys.
Yeah, that was a good one. I like that one.
And that is a bit of a shorter show than we usually do, but we're trying to streamline it. So hopefully, if you guys like this one a little bit better, let us know. Follow our socials.
We told Nut not to
talk. Sorry, what'd you say?
We told Nut not to talk too much this one, so you guys are welcome.
Like a bag of hot air.
My God, enough with the hot air, my guy.
Yeah, follow our socials, Gametime Gents everywhere except for TikTok. We're Gametime Gents Pod, and then you can also just go to our website, GametimeGents.com, and where you can get links to all of our stuff from there. So
and merch.
We got merch. That guy touchdown shirt coming soon.
I'm in.
You guys got anything to say to people before we leave?
No, get your Christmas shopping done if it's not already done. It's getting close.
Yeah, you got 7 days as of this coming out. So
wild.
Good luck. May the 4th be with you.
Yeah, have fun.
Yeah, good luck in Walmarts.
Yeah. And always CGG. Thanks for being a gent. We'll see you guys later.
See you guys.
See you next week.
Peace.